On a quiet evening, Elon Musk pulled his Tesla into the gravel lot of Maple Creek Diner, the neon open. Sign buzzed red against the wet pavement as he stepped inside, hungry after a long day. The smell of coffee and fried potatoes filled the air. Country music played softly, and locals filled the booths. A waitress named Talia greeted him warmly, but before she could serve coffee, the owner Melissa emerged from the kitchen, her face tense. "I'm sorry, Mr. Musk," she said firmly. "I don't agree with your politics. I won't serve you here." The diner fell silent. Elon could have argued or caused a scene, but instead he simply nodded. "I understand. Thank you for your honesty." He placed the menu back, stood, and walked out into the cool night. Sitting in his car, he made a phone call. "Remember that project we talked about? I think I found the perfect place." As Johnny Cash played on the radio, Elon drove away, not angry, but with something rare, hope. The next morning, Maple Creek Diner looked nothing like the quiet place from the night before. When Talia arrived for her early shift, she froze at the sight outside. Nearly 30 people stood in line by the door. Some held gas station coffee cups, others chatted with excitement, and a news van was already parked on the street. A reporter with perfect hair hurried up to her. "Excuse me, are you staff here? Did Elon Musk really recommend this place online?" Confused, Talia shook her head and quickly unlocked the door. But inside, her phone buzzed with missed calls from Melissa. When she finally reached her, Melissa's voice was frantic. "Have you seen his post? Elon Musk posted about us." Talia's eyes widened as Melissa shoved the phone toward her. On the screen was Elon's message. "Was turned away at this little diner last night because the owner didn't like my views. Respect her right to refuse service, but I'll say this. The meatloaf smelled amazing. The people inside looked happy. Support small businesses, even the ones that don't want you. Maple Creek Diner deserves a visit." By 6:30 a.m., the diner was packed wall to wall. Every table was full, coffee cups clinked nonstop, and Talia had to run 3 pots at once. Melissa, pale and overwhelmed, muttered, "This doesn't make sense. Why would he send people here after I refused him?" Talia, balancing plates, answered softly, "Maybe it's not a trick. Maybe it's forgiveness." Melissa shook her head in disbelief. "Nobody's that kind. Especially not Elon Musk." But as more and more customers poured in, smiling, curious, and even grateful, Talia couldn't help but wonder if maybe, just maybe, he was. That evening, Talia returned home exhausted. Her feet ached from rushing between tables. Her apron smelled of coffee and grease, and yet her mind kept replaying Elon Musk's calm face when Melissa had turned him away. At her small apartment, her grandmother Eliza sat in her worn armchair, a crocheted blanket over her legs. She peered up from her book. "You're late, dear." "Rough day?" Talia sighed, dropping her bag. "You won't believe what happened. Melissa refused to serve Elon Musk, just told him to leave." Eliza frowned. "And what did he do?" "He didn't get mad. He just said thank you for your honesty," and walked out. For a moment the old woman was silent. Then she shook her head. Kindness in the face of rejection. That's rare, maybe even more powerful than anger. Talia sat beside her, torn between loyalty to her boss and guilt over what had happened. The diner needed business. Melissa had been worried about closing, and yet Elon's quiet grace had unsettled her more than if he had shouted. "Grandma," she asked softly, "what do you think he'll do now?" Eliza looked toward the window, her eyes distant. "People surprise you, Talia. Sometimes the ones we expect the least from are the ones who change everything." As Talia prepared for bed that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that her grandmother was right. Something bigger had begun, something none of them could yet see. The next morning, Melissa unlocked the diner's front door to a scene she had never imagined. A line stretched down the block. People weren't there to protest. They weren't angry. They were smiling, chatting, sipping gas station coffee as they waited for Maple Creek to open. Some even said they had driven from neighboring towns just to try the place Elon Musk had mentioned. Inside, the diner filled within minutes. By 7 a.m., there was a waiting list. News vans parked outside, cameras pointed at the blue awning. A reporter from Channel 8 tried to push for a comment. Melissa, pale and flustered, muttered, "No comment, unless you're ordering pancakes." Talia scrambled between tables with coffee pots, amazed at the sudden rush. The smell of bacon and maple syrup filled the air. The grills sizzled nonstop, and the cash register barely kept up. But in quiet moments, Melissa's face betrayed her confusion. "I don't get it," she whispered to Talia. "I turned him away. Why would he help me?" Talia looked at the crowded room, people laughing over stacks of pancakes. Maybe because sometimes kindness changes more than anger ever could. Melissa stared at her, doubtful. But a flicker of something, maybe guilt, maybe hope, passed across her face. And outside, as another car pulled up, Talia half expected Elon to walk back through the door. By Friday, Maple Creek Diner had become the busiest spot in town. The small restaurant was bursting with energy. Locals, travelers, and even journalists filled every booth. Melissa, usually stern and guarded, now found herself overwhelmed. She stayed late every night, balancing the books, her hands trembling as she flipped through receipts. The diner was making more money than it had in years, yet she couldn't escape the guilt of how it all began. One evening, after closing, Talia brought her a cup of coffee. Melissa sat alone at a corner table, staring at a cream-colored envelope. "It's from him," Melissa said quietly. "From Elon Musk." Talia's heart skipped. "What does it say?" Melissa unfolded the letter. Elon's handwriting was neat, deliberate. "Thank you for your honesty. When you turned me away, I could have responded with anger. But my grandmother taught me that rejection should be met with kindness, because everyone carries reasons we may not see. I didn't recommend your diner to embarrass you. I did it because Maple Creek is special. The smell of home cooking, the community on your walls, the way your staff looked at you, these things matter. We may disagree on politics, but I believe we both want the same: hope for struggling communities. Keep serving your town. That matters more than anything else." Melissa's eyes watered as she folded the letter. He chose kindness. After all that. For the first time since the night she turned Elon Musk away, Melissa's hardened expression cracked, not into anger or pride, but into something softer. And Talia knew the diner's story was only just beginning. Sunday afternoon the diner was closed, but Melissa gathered her staff for a meeting. Everyone sat around the pushed-together tables, coffee cups in hand, waiting anxiously. Melissa held a cream-colored envelope, the letter from Elon Musk. Her voice shook slightly as she read it aloud. "Thank you for your honesty. When you rejected me, I could have responded with anger. Instead, I chose kindness because that's what my grandmother taught me. Rejection should be met with understanding. Maple Creek Diner is special. It holds your community together. Keep doing what you're doing. That matters more than politics." When Melissa finished, silence hung heavy in the room. Even the dishwasher, Mr. Jenkins, sat still, eyes wide. "I judged him unfairly," Melissa admitted. "And when he had every reason to fight back, he chose to help instead." For the first time, her staff saw her not as the stubborn boss who ruled the kitchen, but as someone humbled and maybe even changed. "I've made a decision," she continued, her hands trembling, "and I want you all to hear it first." The staff leaned forward, breath held. Whatever Melissa was about to say would shape the diner's future forever. A week after the diner's staff meeting, Maple Creek felt like a town reborn. Word had spread about the investment fund Elon Musk had quietly connected them with. The hardware store reopened, a small movie theater was being renovated, and Maple Creek Diner itself was preparing for a long-awaited expansion. But the biggest change wasn't money, it was trust. For the first time, Melissa's staff believed their work truly mattered. Customers kept coming not just for the food, but for the story. The idea that kindness had turned rejection into opportunity. Late one evening, Melissa stood by the window, looking out at the glowing neon "Open" sign. The diner was quiet now, tables cleared, coffee pots empty. She held Elon's letter again, her thumb brushing over the handwritten words. When the bell above the door jingled, she turned, and there he was. Elon Musk stepping inside, this time not as a stranger, but as a welcome guest. Melissa smiled nervously. "I wasn't sure you'd ever come back." Elon gave a small shrug, sliding into the same booth by the window where it had all begun. "I figured I was overdue for that meatloaf special." For a moment, both of them laughed, the tension of that first night gone. This wasn't about politics anymore. It was about a diner, a community, and a simple choice that had changed everything. The expansion of Maple Creek Diner had become the talk of the county. Construction crews worked on the empty storefront next door, and every day locals pressed their faces against the glass to watch progress unfold. Inside, the diner buzzed with life. New staff were being trained, fresh menus were printed, and for the first time in years, Melissa walked with a lighter step. But still, she carried a quiet uncertainty. One afternoon, Elon Musk returned, not as a customer this time, but as a friend. He slipped into the diner wearing a simple jacket, no entourage, no press. Talia spotted him first. "You came back?" she said with a grin. "I told you I was coming for that meatloaf." Elon joked, but his eyes carried warmth. Melissa emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. She hesitated only a moment before approaching. "I still don't understand why you helped us," she admitted softly. Elon leaned forward, his tone calm. "Because communities like this matter. Because second chances matter. And because sometimes the smallest places can inspire the biggest changes." Melissa's eyes softened. For the first time, she truly believed him. Months passed, and the transformation of Maple Creek was undeniable. The diner's new section opened with fresh booths, polished counters, and brighter windows. Locals called it the heart of the town, and for once, Melissa believed it. Elon Musk visited again during the grand reopening. This time, he wasn't just a guest. He was honored as part of the story. Reporters snapped photos, but Elon stayed humble, shaking hands with construction workers, chatting with families, and even taking selfies with college students who had driven hours just to see him. Melissa, holding back tears, gave a short speech. "This diner almost closed its doors. I almost gave up. But one person's kindness turned everything around. Elon, you reminded us that second chances can change not just a business, but an entire community." Applause filled the diner. Talia looked around at the crowd, neighbors, workers, friends, all gathered together. For the first time, she felt the town's divisions soften. And as Elon raised a coffee cup in quiet salute, Melissa finally understood this wasn't just her story anymore. It belonged to all of them. As summer settled over Maple Creek, the diner no longer felt like just a place to eat. It had become the town's symbol of unity. Strangers became friends over coffee. Workers discussed new opportunities at the counter, and families celebrated milestones in booths that once sat nearly empty. On a warm Friday evening, Elon Musk visited one last time before leaving town. He didn't come with cameras or speeches, just himself. Sitting at the same booth by the window, he quietly enjoyed a plate of meatloaf while chatting with Talia and Melissa. When he stood to leave, the diner grew quiet. Elon placed a hand on the counter and looked around at the faces. Farmers, teachers, students, grandparents. "Places like this," he said softly, "are the future. Not because of technology or money, but because people here choose kindness when it matters most." Melissa's eyes welled with tears. The crowd applauded not for a celebrity, but for the reminder that their little town mattered. As Elon stepped outside into the golden sunset, the neon open sign flickered behind him, glowing brighter than ever. The story of Maple Creek Diner was no longer just about rejection or forgiveness. It had become a beacon of what was possible when kindness led the way.